Have you ever smiled for a wedding photo, while someone in the room was secretly hoping your marriage would fail? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And the most shocking part? The person wasn't an ex. It wasn't a jealous friend. It wasn't even a stranger. It was my future mother-in-law. And by the end of that night, her own plan would come crashing down around her. My name is Olivia Carter. I was 28 years old when I married Ethan Reynolds. And until my wedding day, I thought the hardest part of getting married was planning the event. I was wrong. The hardest part was surviving Ethan's mother. Her name was Linda Reynolds. And from the day Ethan introduced us, she made one thing clear. She didn't want me in her family. At first, she hid it behind fake smiles, polite comments, passive-aggressive jokes. But over time, the mask slipped. According to Linda, I wasn't good enough for her son. I wasn't wealthy enough, connected enough, sophisticated enough. Nothing I did was right. When Ethan proposed, I hoped things would improve. Instead, they got worse. Every wedding decision became a battle. She criticized the venue, the flowers, the guest list, the menu, even my wedding dress. One afternoon, she actually said, Ethan could have married someone much more suitable. Right in front of me, Ethan immediately defended me, but the damage was done. From that moment forward, I stopped trying to win her approval. Because some people don't want peace, they want control, and Linda was losing hers. The wedding day finally arrived. The ceremony was beautiful, perfect weather, perfect venue, perfect vows. For a few hours, everything felt magical. I actually started believing Linda might behave herself. Big mistake. The reception began shortly after sunset. Guests laughed, music played, people danced. For the first time all day, I relaxed. Then something strange happened. I stepped away from the dance floor to greet several relatives. When I returned, my champagne glass had been moved. At first, I thought nothing of it. Then I noticed Linda standing nearby, watching, not casually, intently, almost nervously. The moment our eyes met, she looked away. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. Years of dealing with her had taught me something. Trust your instincts. I picked up the glass. Linda immediately froze. Not visibly, but enough for me to notice. Then she smiled, a forced smile. Drink up, Olivia. Something about the way she said it felt wrong. Very wrong. Suddenly I remembered something. Earlier that week, I had overheard Linda speaking with her sister. I'll handle it myself. At the time, I didn't know what she meant. Now I wasn't so sure. I looked at the glass, then at Linda, then back at the glass. My instincts screamed, don't drink it. So I didn't. Instead, I smiled. The same fake smile Linda had used on me for years. Then I said, you know what? She blinked. What? I think the mother of the groom deserves the first toast. For a second, her face changed. Only a second. But it was enough. Pure panic. Then she quickly recovered. Oh no, that's for you. I laughed. Come on. Several guests turned toward us. The attention made her nervous. Very nervous. I raised the glass. To Linda. More people looked over. Now she couldn't easily refuse. Not without appearing suspicious. Her smile started slipping. The room didn't notice. I did. Then Ethan walked over. Perfect timing. He smiled. What's going on? I handed him the glass. We're celebrating your mom. Ethan grinned. Sounds good to me. Now dozens of people were watching. Linda looked trapped. Because suddenly, everyone expected her to take a sip, and she clearly didn't want to. My heart started pounding. What exactly was she afraid of? Why was she so desperate to avoid that drink? Then she made the biggest mistake of the night. She grabbed my wrist, hard, far harder than necessary, and whispered, "Don't do this." My blood ran cold, because innocent people don't say that. Innocent people laugh and take a sip. They don't panic. They don't beg. And they definitely don't grab someone's wrist. The room immediately noticed the tension. Music continued playing, but nearby guests had stopped talking, watching, listening, waiting. Then Ethan looked between us, confused. Mom? Linda released my arm. Too late. Everyone had seen it. And for the first time all evening, people started asking questions. Questions Linda couldn't answer. What happened next would expose a secret she'd been hiding for months. A secret that would shock Ethan, humiliate Linda, and turn our wedding reception upside down. The reception hall suddenly felt smaller, quieter, tighter. Linda released my wrist, but the damage was already done. Everyone had seen her reaction, and everyone was asking the same question. Why was she so desperate not to drink from that glass? Ethan looked confused. Mom, what's wrong? Linda forced a laugh. Nothing. Nobody believed her, not even Ethan. I could see it in his face. For the first time all evening, he looked suspicious. Then Linda tried changing the subject. Let's not make a scene. A strange thing to say, especially when she was the one creating it. I calmly picked up the glass. Then drink it. The room froze again. Linda's smile disappeared, and suddenly, someone spoke from behind us. Actually, everyone turned. It was Mia, one of the catering staff. She looked nervous, very nervous, but she also looked determined. There's something I need to say. Linda's face immediately went pale. My heart started racing, because whatever Mia was about to reveal, Linda already knew. Mia swallowed hard, then pointed toward the drink. I saw someone near that table earlier. The room went silent. Linda looked like she might faint. Mia continued. I didn't think much of it at the time. She paused. But now, her eyes moved directly toward Linda. I think it's important. Ethan slowly turned toward his mother. The tension was unbearable. What did you see? Mia took a deep breath. I saw Mrs. Reynolds holding that glass. Whispers exploded across the room. Linda immediately interrupted. So what? It's a wedding. But Mia wasn't finished. You weren't just holding it. The room grew silent again. You took something out of your purse. Linda stopped breathing. Literally stopped breathing. Then Mia added, and you poured it into the glass. Gasps echoed everywhere. Several guests stood up. Someone dropped a fork. The entire reception was now watching. Linda shook her head frantically. She's lying! But her voice sounded weak. Very weak. Then another voice joined the conversation. A man's voice. I saw it too. Everyone turned again. This time it was Robert, one of Ethan's college friends. He pointed toward Linda. I thought she was adding sweetener. The room exploded with whispers, because now there were two witnesses, not one. Two. Ethan stared at his mother. His face looked completely different now. The confusion was gone. Replacing it was disappointment. Mom. The single word broke my heart. Because Ethan wasn't angry. Not yet. He was hoping she had an explanation. A reasonable one. Something. Anything. But Linda couldn't provide one. Because there wasn't one. Then something unexpected happened. Ethan's aunt stood up. Linda's own sister. And what she said shocked everyone. Linda. Her voice trembled. Tell them the truth. The room froze. Linda looked horrified, because she hadn't expected betrayal from her own sister. Her sister continued. I told you not to do this. Gasps erupted. My stomach dropped. She knew? For how long? Then the truth began pouring out. Weeks earlier, Linda had been obsessing over the wedding, complaining constantly, talking about how Olivia was taking Ethan away, talking about how she wished the wedding would fail, talking about how she needed to teach Olivia a lesson. Her sister thought it was only angry talk. Until tonight. Until she saw Linda near the drink. Until she watched everything unfold. Now she knew. And so did everyone else. Linda looked around the room. At the guests. At Ethan. At me. And finally realized something. Nobody was on her side anymore. Nobody. Then Ethan quietly asked the question everyone wanted answered. What did you put in the drink? The room became silent. So silent you could hear the air conditioner running. Linda refused to answer. which was answer enough. Then one of the venue managers stepped forward. We should have that tested. The room immediately agreed, because now everyone wanted facts, not excuses. The manager carefully took the glass away, and the waiting began. 30 minutes later, the reception felt completely different. Nobody was dancing. Nobody was celebrating. Everyone was talking about one thing: Linda. Then the venue manager returned, holding a small report. My heart pounded. Ethan stood beside me, holding my hand tightly. The manager looked uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Then he spoke. The drink contained a concentrated herbal sleep supplement. The room erupted. Gasps, shock, disbelief. Not something deadly, not something illegal, but enough to make someone dizzy, exhausted, and barely able to function, especially during a wedding reception, especially during speeches, photos, dancing, especially on the bride. The room stared directly at Linda, and this time, she had nowhere left to hide. But the biggest shock of the night was still coming, because when Ethan finally confronted his mother, she would reveal the real reason she hated me. A reason buried for years. A reason so selfish that even her own family would walk away from her. The room was silent, not because people were confused, because they finally understood. Linda had put something in the bride's drink, at her own son's wedding, and now everyone was waiting for one thing: an explanation. Ethan stared at his mother. His face looked completely different. The disappointment was gone. Now there was only heartbreak. Why? The question echoed through the reception hall. Linda opened her mouth, then closed it again. Because there was no good answer. No excuse. No justification. No way to make this look reasonable. Finally, she spoke. You took him away from me. The room frowned. Ethan blinked. What? Linda pointed at me. Ever since she came into your life, everything changed. Her voice began shaking. You stopped calling every day. Ethan stared at her. You mean because I became an adult? Several guests exchanged awkward looks, but Linda wasn't finished. You used to spend every holiday with me. Ethan looked stunned. Mom, you used to ask for my advice. Tears rolled down her face. You used to need me. Suddenly, everything became clear. This was never about me. Not really. This wasn't about a wedding, a drink, or a reception. It was about control. Linda wasn't losing a son. She was losing power over him, and she couldn't accept it. The entire room understood. Then Ethan quietly asked, So you wanted to ruin our wedding? Linda didn't answer, because she didn't need to. The answer was obvious. Then Ethan asked another question. How long have you hated Olivia? Linda looked away. That silence answered everything. Years. The answer was years. Years of criticism, years of manipulation, years of resentment. All because Ethan loved someone besides her. Then Ethan's father stood up. A man who had remained silent almost the entire evening. His name was Michael, and his face looked exhausted, not shocked. Exhausted, like someone who had spent years watching the same behavior. He looked directly at Linda, then quietly said, I told you this would happen. The room froze. Linda immediately looked at him. Michael shook his head. For years I watched you push people away. His voice cracked. Friends. Another pause. Family. Another pause. And now your own son. Linda started crying harder, but nobody rushed to comfort her. Because for the first time, everyone was seeing the truth. Then Ethan did something nobody expected. He walked over to me, took my hand, and led me to the center of the dance floor. The same dance floor where our reception had nearly been destroyed. Then he turned toward the guests and smiled. A lot happened tonight. A few people laughed nervously. Ethan continued, but one thing hasn't changed. He looked at me. I married the woman I love. My eyes immediately filled with tears. The room erupted into applause, loud applause, real applause. For the first time all evening, the attention wasn't on the scandal, it was on us, where it belonged. Then Ethan surprised everyone again. He turned toward the band. "Play the music." The band hesitated, then smiled, and started playing. The dance floor slowly filled. Guests began laughing again, talking again, celebrating again, because they refused to let one bitter person ruin the night. Meanwhile, Linda sat alone, watching. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the center of attention, and nobody was rescuing her. Several hours later, the reception finally ended. Guests hugged us goodbye. Many apologized for what happened. Others congratulated us for staying strong. Then came the biggest surprise of all. 3 weeks later, Linda called, not to defend herself, not to blame me, to apologize. A real apology, the kind that doesn't include excuses, the kind that accepts responsibility. She admitted she was wrong. She admitted she had let jealousy consume her. And she admitted she almost destroyed her relationship with Ethan forever. Healing didn't happen overnight. Trust never returns that quickly. But it was a start. And sometimes a start is enough. 1 year later, Ethan and I celebrated our first anniversary. Happy, strong, together. And for the first time, family gatherings felt peaceful. Not perfect, but honest. Which was better. Much better. Looking back now, I'm grateful I trusted my instincts. Because one small decision changed everything. If I had ignored that feeling, if I had taken that drink without thinking, the entire night could have gone very differently. Instead, the truth came out. And the person trying to sabotage the wedding ended up exposing herself. Sometimes karma doesn't take years. Sometimes it only takes one glass. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional family betrayal stories, wedding drama, shocking twists, and powerful justice endings. And remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The end.